Contact one, and who will it be coming across the line? It will be Corey Hoover.
Coming through the corner, they hit!
They get together! Austin Hartenfeld, Mike Dyson together! Hey, they're all wrecking behind them!
Well, Shane, it's that time again. It's a Thursday night here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We're here live at Dover, Delaware, and it's time for the Upper Edge Racing CMC Sportsman Series here tonight. Steve Bone Steele, Shane Doherty up in the booth here as we are getting ready to get this event kicked off. The PurePwnage 150 live at Dover International Raceway. Oh boy, Shane, this is going to be a fun one, the Monster Mile.
Absolutely, the Monster Mile. It is a very unique track. I can't think of one similar track to this racetrack. It's just that unique. It's 1 mile's length, and really every turn and every inch you drive around here is a new and different experience. It's just going to make tonight's event that much more exciting. Got plenty of excited drivers here on the racetrack for qualifying. They too are almost ready to get tonight's start.
Yeah, we've had a pretty exciting season so far, Shane. What do you think's been the most important thing we've seen so far?
Well, as long as these races have been and all these guys coming into this series for the first time, consistency has been the big time thing that is keeping those guys up in the championship standings, particularly Austin Hartenfeld. Picked up his second win of the season last week in Sonoma. It's all about staying up front the entire race and finishing the job when the day is over, getting that finish you deserve, and repeating that each and every week, day in and day out. That's ultimately going to get you up there in the points and a chance to win this championship.
Yeah, I can't say you're at all wrong there, Shane. And here tonight, 78 degrees. It's a sunny day, almost not a cloud in the sky at this point, actually, as these drivers are going to have to deal with some pretty, I think it's going to be a pretty loose day out there on the racetrack. Dover tends to be one of those places where you can be so tight that you get really loose.
Yeah, definitely. These cars really, it's something about this track makes these cars handle weird. You'll be very tight in the center of the corner, and then just as you said, Steve, you get that kind of snap loose off the corner, and I guess that has a lot to do with the banking transition, as these turns are banked extremely high and just allows for the car to kind of get loose off the corner, and only the best guys really do a nice job of hanging on to that. So we'll have to see how that, kind of transforms tonight's event.
Yeah, and these drivers have had such an eventful season so far, like I said. Many ups and downs. Corey Hoover's made a nice comeback after a pretty dismal start. Heading off into the race here tonight, Shane, I'm thinking that we're going to be in store for quite the treat.
Definitely, and got a lot of guys here. They probably have had a lot of laps on Dover, and maybe some that haven't had a lot of laps on Dover, and 150 laps scheduled for tonight. It's going to be a lot of side-by-side racing action, something that Dover's really good at, is bringing that awesome racing that we're used to on these short tracks. You can think of it as a short track, but really it's its own beast. So, can't wait to get it started. Got some time left in qualifying still, but we're just about set to get the race started.
I'll turn it over to you to run through the standings.
Sure, so far, I'm going to go ahead and go through the qualifying standings at the moment. Carl Shedd so far is on the pole, and his outside Michael Laria in second. Corey Hoover is currently third, with Jeff Ramsdale fourth, Ryan Dyson fifth, J.D. Laird, one of the new guys this year, in sixth, with Bradley Burke seventh, Mark Rapolo eighth, Michael Finlayson ninth, and Chris Wright's currently 10th. Also got David Ankeny in 11th here, Zach Michael, Austin Hartenfeld's back in 13th there, Joseph Ties in 14th, and currently 15th, Joe Lawrence. Bradley Grant Davis 16th, Mark Murphy's up there in 17th, with Trevor Rapolo 18th, Bronson Stafford back down there in 19th, a little bit of a surprise with Mike Tellier rounding out currently your top 20. Then we got Justin Munsealed, Chad Coleman back there, along with Tom Bourne, Colin Bowden, Michael McLean, Michael Thompson, Jason Thompson, and also Thomas Storr.
And it's that time again. It's time to throw it down to the infield for opening ceremonies. Shane, back down to you, as I do believe you're catching up with Ryan Dyson.
Yeah, here with the league owner Ryan Dyson. And Ryan, just about done with qualifying here. What do you expect out of tonight's event here at Dover?
Well, tonight I expect a good show. Last season when we were here, this London Recreational driven steering wheel sponsored Chevrolet Camaro was very fast. I expect nothing different tonight. We're currently sitting 5th, I do believe, so expect some good things tonight out of this thing.
Yeah, definitely, and kind of talk about the character that Dover is. It's a mile-long track, but really, it's a beast in its own.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to run a lap here. I'll check back in about 30 seconds with you. Abort that, abort that. Looks like we almost spun her out. Yeah, sorry, what was the question, guys?
Just kind of talk about the character that Dover is, being it's just one of those unique racetracks we visit.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The car gets really, really light off of 2 and 4 as the banking changes to the straightaway. It almost feels like the car jumps, and when it sets back down, the car just wants to spin out. So it's definitely a driver's track. You got to know how to keep it under control, and hopefully a lot of these guys, myself included, can keep it under control for 150 laps tonight. And maybe we'll be talking to you guys a little later on.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you think you fare here at Dover? Seems like you're either good here or not for a driver perspective.
Well, tonight I think we're okay. I'm qualifying better than we expected so far. I'm not sure if I can go any quicker than we are now. That's my fastest lap I've ever turned here, so I'm thinking we're pretty much just about done for qualifying. But if qualifying's any sign, I expect to see this 28 up front tonight.
Alright, thanks for talking to us, Ryan. Wish you the best of luck tonight.
Thanks, we'll catch up a little later, guys.
Well, Shane, like I said, things in the points are pretty close. Hartenfeld's with 206 and Hoover's 11 points back. Next week, we head over to Michigan International Speedway, my home track. Then we go to Darlington and Pocono. Those two are pretty tough, but right after that, we go to Martinsville. Anytime you go to Martinsville, you know it's going to be a tough race.
Yeah, definitely, but that's what I like about this schedule. There's so many unique racetracks, and we really don't, hit on the same kind of racetrack in a row. It's one week we're at this type of racetrack, and the next we bring a whole new challenge to the table. So it just brings that kind of excitement to the series, something new to this year that I really like. And last week we were at Sonoma, and now this week we're at Dover. So two very different, unique racetracks, going to bring two completely different races, and that's just something awesome to see week in and week out.
Yeah, and of course you're going to be watching it all live all season long here on Checkered Flag Interactive, your source for iRacing broadcast. We like to say that we can't be beaten. We probably can, but at least not for the price. So just make sure you check us out on Facebook, give us a look, Checkered Flag Interactive, head over to our website, checkeredflaginteractive.net, look me up on Facebook, look Shane up on Facebook, we'll hook you up with some of the best in the business, that's for sure. And just really quick, looking at these times here as these drivers are almost wrapped up. JD Laird, the only driver really making any improvements on his lap time aside from Jeff Ramsdell. Ramsdell going to move up actually to the 5th position for the time being. Corey Hoover going to be looking to start 4th. And interesting enough, Shane, let's talk about Austin Hartenfels. Well,
yeah, definitely showing a little bit down in Q there. I don't know if this is one of his tracks that he likes, but he's down there in 13th.
Yeah, of course, Hartenfels right now sitting down on pit road. I do believe I'm going to toss him over to you to get a ring-in with him.
Before we get this race started, Austin, just want to ring in with you. How's the car so far, and what are your chances for tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I don't know. I didn't qualify too well. I haven't been great at qualifying recently, but working on that. But I'm hoping to get a clean start here and move forward at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. It's a long race here tonight, 150 laps around this Miles Speedway. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge to getting a good finish out there tonight?
Definitely keeping the car under you. It's pretty edgy, especially off the corners. But if you can keep the car under you and keep out of trouble and keep your nose clean and stay out of trouble, definitely. And track position is probably pretty important. It might be pretty hard to pass. So looking forward to seeing how that'll work out.
Yeah, talk about traction is going to be very key tonight. You going to maybe try 2 tires or no tires at one point, or you think pretty much 4 tires is going to be the automatic?
I'm not really sure how important tires are going to be. I guess we're going to find out. I'm sure someone's going to try it, and we'll see how that works. Probably earlier in the race. So, I might consider trying that if I'm farther back and I need some track position. It might work out, but it does change the handling of the car drastically. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess see how it drives in the race.
All right, absolutely, Austin. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck out there.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Shane, well, we're just moments away from getting this kicked off. We talked about it for a little bit. 150 laps here at Dover, Delaware, the Monster Mile. This 1 mile track, it really does pose quite a challenge to drivers. It's similar to Bristol, I'd like to say. Make Bristol a little bit larger, and this is pretty much as close as you can get when it comes to comparing Bristol to any other track.
Yeah, really, they're two beasts of a racetrack, Dover and Bristol, and it's just that high banking I talked about earlier. That's just such a huge part of both these racetracks, and especially Dover. It gives it the characteristic. It allows guys to kind of diamond the corner, where they'll go pretty much on the apron into the entry of the corner, and they'll go all the way up to the middle part of the racetrack, and then arc it back down off the exit of the corner, and that's kind of how you're going to get some long run speed tonight. So it's going to be a kind of an interesting race to watch when it comes to that, and should make passing very interesting.
And as these guys get onto, I'm looking right now, JD Laird starting on that front row. That's going to be a very, very dangerous place for him to be starting. JD Laird, of course, very fast every time we see him over there. And his first appearance this season, I do believe, Shane. So it'll be interesting to see how he does out here tonight with these other upper edge racing drivers. Lots of new paint schemes in the field here tonight, looking very good. And I'm excited for this race. I'm really excited. Huge field here tonight. This Upper Edge Racing CMC Sportsman Series and the league as a whole has come such a long way. Great sponsors, Control Freak, London Recreational Racing, and plenty more, of course, Crescent Moon Contracting, 24 Designs, and there's just so much going on here. It's a great series.
Absolutely, and this being the 3rd season of the CMC Sportsman Series, I believe it's just a huge, huge turnout tonight, and really every week we've seen so far. Tonight, I believe 28 drivers going to take the greens, so that's awesome. Definitely not as big, definitely bigger, I should say, the car count compared to most seasons, so it's awesome to see, and it's only going to get better from here.
as you can tell, these engines have fired and the drivers are rolling here behind the Ford First Mustang pace car, Shane. These final moments before we get this thing kicked off, I really do think that the most important thing that these drivers are going to have to watch out for is each other out here. This place, if there's a huge pileup coming off of 2 or 4 and the track gets blocked, it is going to be a massive disaster. As it looks like Ryan Dyson may have already picked up a little bit of damage on the back end of the number 44. We'll have to keep our eyes on that here as that Ford First Mustang pace car is pulling it down pit road for the PurePwnage 150 here. These guys through 3 and 4 behind that pace car no longer as the flag man gets ready to wave the flag. We are racing here, race number 6 of the season.
And a rocket launch start for J.D. Laird. He's already out to a couple car lengths lead over Jeff Ramsdell. As most of the field single file, now a couple wide there as Jeff Ramsdell a little sideways off too.
Now very, very close first couple of laps. This is going to be for everybody out there. Mark Roppolo diving in underneath Ryan Dyson there, making a quick move for that spot. Oh, his thing's getting really close right there. Jeff Ramsdell almost catching that outside wall. I think he almost may have there. That number 12, that Eddie Sports Pub machine got really, really tight. He was able to keep it off that outside wall, so he'll have to watch that machine here, as you definitely don't want to get that wall, especially early on. It'll do so much damage.
Yeah, right now these guys are on their toes. They know they've been practicing for a while. They just got done with qualifying, and now it's car-to-car racing, something they haven't seen all day. It's going to be all about getting into a rhythm, kind of establishing yourself on this racetrack. That's why we're seeing mostly single file for the most part. These guys just trying to calm the nerves.
Yeah, right now, taking a look, couple of drivers seeming to struggle. That number 28 of Ryan Dyson, that London recreational machine. We've seen this a couple of times this season where he does not get the best of starts. And I do believe this may just, unfortunately, be another one of those cases here. He's already got some damage on that machine. Looks like he got into the back of number 44. It looks like he's going to get passed again here outside the top 10 now by Joseph Tice. As Joseph Tice on the inside line, he's going to make that pass. Here comes RCA teammate Austin Hartenfeld's trying to make his move, trying to get up inside that top 10. He's going to have that nose underneath him here as he looks into 1 and 2. He's going to be able to make that pass down on the inside line, side by side here, lap number 5. Take a look back towards the front. And, well, we got ourselves quite the gap between the top drivers, but it's going to be Corey Hoover, Jeff Ramsdell, and Carl Shed right on top of each other. And don't forget about Bradley Burke.
Yeah, all these guys chasing a very fast J.D. Laird. He's out there putting a pretty dominant pace out there early on, almost a second lead on Michael Laria. And it's all the way up to almost 2 seconds on Corey Hoover and the rest of the gang. So that 23 car looks to be one to beat tonight. All these guys behind just kind of chasing, and like I said before, getting into a rhythm, trying to make sure that they can put down the best possible laps early on.
Taking a look back here, Ryan Dyson still struggling. Here comes Joe Lawrence on the inside line. Rally Grant Davis wants to get on by as well here, as it looks like Joe Lawrence gets a little bit loose on that inside line. We've talked about that loose condition coming up off these corners here. There's a little bit of a hump coming off of these corners, and what happens is the suspension really just unloads, and you get a little bit of a weightless feeling for just a hot second. That's when the car gets really, really unstable. You got to be very, very careful there. So it looks like Dyson's going to be able to fight back on the high side for the time being, but here comes his teammate back on the inside line here. Really, really struggling here early on.
Yeah, I don't know if that front end damage to Ryan's car may or may not be affecting him. That or his car is just not handling how he wants it to, because he's been up and out of the groove as of lately, and he's dropped all the way outside the top 13 now, back in 14th, and finally does find a way to get in line there. So he's gone from 6th to 14th in the early stages of this race. Ryan's going to need to get some of that track position back, maybe get a caution here, get some tires on.
Yeah, Bronson Stafford actually taking a look at him right now, that number 39 Home Depot machine. Very nice paint scheme on him over there. He is currently in 18th. He started 19th, and we haven't really seen much of this out of him actually. And Colin Bowden's back there as well. Just lots of really fast drivers seeming to struggle here early on.
Yeah, definitely. You know, some of this might be due to the track. Like, are these guys really 110% up to par with it at the moment? I mean, it's one of those situations where if you don't get a good qualifying run, you get trapped in the back of the pack, you can't hit your marks correctly, and, you know, Colin, he's actually had contact with the wall early on. He's got some right front damage on that
We have a change
car,
up front,
so.
Shane. The number
But it looks
23 got really loose there. J.D. Laird almost catches that outside wall, and just like that, Michael Laria around him, Corey Hoover around him, and now Jeff Ramsdell around him. Possibly that 23, I'm hearing over the radio, thinks he might have a tire going down in that number 23.
Yeah, possibly, and there you go, Steve, talking about the unloading off the corner. It happened off turn number 4, and the car got really loose. He had to chase it all the way down to the wall, it seemed like, at one point, and he loses a ton of spots there, and quite a lot of that lead. It's down to nothing, obviously, and he's all the way back and forth at the moment, and he's just going to have to fight to hold on here and figure out if that tire is indeedly down.
Yeah, taking a look, Michael Laria in front of the field, and that number 44's got that damage on the back end. And, you know, I'm not one to believe that damage is ever going to help you, but I can't say that damage is hurting him at all right now. He's running some stellar times right now, almost half of a tenth faster than everyone else out there. Corey Hoover hanging on as we got a caution now up in the back of the field. Looks like Jason Thompson going around.
It is the 61 of Jason Thompson there, and that Camaro around on the front straightaway here to bring out your first caution.
Got that replay pulled up for you, coming up and off of turn 4. Looks like he may have blew a right rear tire somehow on that number 61 as the rear end just swings around on him there. He's going to go around, spin it, hit that inside wall, and he might be in a little bit of trouble here as the field it's going to actually lap him once, and then he's got to come down and get that damage fixed, get that tire looked at here. So 15 laps into this race here, the PurePwnage 150 at Dover International Raceway. We're under our first caution of the night.
And this is probably the caution Ryan Dyson needed to see, and maybe some of the guys in the back of the pack needed to see to come down pit road, either get some damage fixed or just get a brand new set of tires on this race car. Try and see if you can make it better. You can't adjust the setup, but you certainly can do some strategy with how much fuel you put in it, the kind of tires you put on the car, either right sides, left sides, or all of them, and just kind of figure out what you can do to get your car back toward the front.
Most of the field, I think probably about everybody going to be coming down pit road here on lap number 15, as this is going to be interesting here. We might see some drivers to choose a little bit of strategy. Track position's really important as passing can get pretty tough here. I'm not seeing hardly anyone and possibly a couple cars, only one car possibly staying out here. So Shane, that could be an interesting factor as this race goes on. I do believe it's Mike Tellier that's chosen to stay out.
We'll have to see if he brings it down next time, but yeah, he's the only car at the moment not on pit road, and everyone else is as well, getting right side tires. The question is well, will everyone swing around to the left side as well? And I believe they will, and looks like 4 tires and fuel for everybody on pit road.
Trouble for Michael Laria here, as he's going to have a very slow stop, possibly a speeding penalty. He's going to come out in about 17th. Corey Hoover will win the race off pit road.
We'll have to see if it was a penalty, or they actually might have been working on that rear end of the car of Michael Laria. Kind of stayed a little bit late, figured it's early in the race, get that damage fixed, but I don't know if I'm with you, Steve. That car looked like it was being helped by the damage. All that spoiler being up there kind of helped the downforce.
Yeah, I really have to agree with you there. I think, you know, with that machine running so dang good, I would have stayed out.
Yeah, that or completely ignored the damage, but I guess they deemed it wasn't helping him, and they go ahead and do some work to that. He'll find himself pretty far back in the field.
as we get ready to get the one to go, this time by Mike Tellier to the number 97, looking like he's going to bring that number 97 machine down pit road. Yes, he will do so here, and Corey Hoover is continuing his charge to take that points lead over from teammate Austin Hartenfels, as he's going to be the leader on this restart.
Definitely, we'll have to see how his chances are here on this restart. It'll be the first time Corey will restart in the lead, but just some quick things to catch you up on. Colin Bowden, Ryan Dyson, all on pit road for extensive repairs there, getting some damage done earlier. They're going to restart in the back half of the field, and Bronson Stafford, speeding penalty, so he'll go to the rear of the field for this restart. So those guys going to have to find a way to get some track position here, as the field is through 1 and 2 right now, about to go green.
Yeah, so many things could come into play here. We saw fuel strategy come in and be one of the biggest factors here at places like Dover. And here tonight, I mean, it probably isn't going to be much different. We're just going to have to see how the runs shake out. Ryan Dyson coming down pit road, getting that damage fixed. We're going to have to keep our eyes on him. A very frustrated Ryan here, as not how he wanted to get his race kicked off. Carl Shedd also not too happy with his number 45 Control Freak machine. And the number 2 of Bradley Burke, listening to him, he's very happy with that machine, as Brett Buttines pulling it down pit road here. Over to you, Shane, for the start.
Corey Hoover, Jeff Ramsdale, your front row as they make their way off turn 4. On the accelerator they go. Green flag in the air. We're back racing here.
Very, very good start for Corey Hoover here as we dive it down into 1 and 2, shifting up through the gears. A little bit of a blink for JD Laird, no problem there. Coming up off that corner, it's going to be everyone jostling for position down the back straightaway we go. It's going to be Corey Hoover leading the race. JD Laird trying to chase him down, and it looks like Jeff Ramsdale going to fall in line there. Top 4 all single file is, oh, JD Laird's going around. Oh, we're going to have a big one in the front.
Oh, and there are multiple cars still wrecking down the front straightaway. Jeff Ramsdale, heavy damage. Saw a couple in the wall, and the 51 of Michael McLean hard in the turn 1 wall. That's chaos when you see a car in the front wreck. We've actually got cars still going around in the front stretch. Huge mess.
Well, to slow it down for you there, Shane, JD Laird again getting loose like we saw earlier. Jeff Ramsdale tries to adjust to miss him. Not going to be able to do so here, and then they just start piling in. Carl Shedd, Mark Roppolo, Austin Hartenfels, Joseph Tice gets a little bit of that as they just pile in. Nowhere to go. Michael McLean tries to dive it, but that dang banking is so tough. He's going to get that outside wall. Oh, man, a lot of drivers just in a lot of trouble right now. Tough break. Then, of course, Trevor Roppolo comes down and hits Jeff Ramsdale after the fact. As that's frustrating out there.
Yeah, and the frustrating part is that Jeff had it missed. He slows down, gets into it a little bit, but then he just gets clobbered through the entire field, and there's nowhere to go for anybody. There's no room. You know, these straightaways are very short. Nonetheless, the banked straightaways means the cars don't have a lot of places to turn, really. So, huge damage there for most of those guys, but wow, if you're talking about the guys I was mentioning earlier, Bronson Stafford, Ryan Dyson, they might be sitting pretty here because they missed that entire wreck.
Let's hop on board with Joe Lawrence. Had a pretty good view mid-pack of all of that craziness happening there. You can see that smoke just starts coming. He's on the outside, almost gets in the area, catches the outside wall just a little bit, catches it again there as we're 3 wide currently. As that was a very tight one.
And I can tell you from personal experience, when there's a wreck in the front of the field and you're toward the middle or back portions, it's hold on and really just hold your breath. Not a good feeling, and you know, you're lucky you get out there with maybe a dent or two. That's pretty fortunate, but quite a lot of cars going to see their night be tarnished after that.
Well, we've got a quick moment here live on Checkered Flag Interactive. Let's toss it off to a quick side-by-side commercial break. When we come back, we've got the restart for you here live at Dover International Raceway.
Contact one. And who will it be coming across the line? It will be Corey Hoover.
Coming through the corner, they hit!
Get together! Austin Hartfeld, Mike Dyson together, and they're all wrecking behind him.
Back here live, top 5, Corey Hoover, Bradley Burke, Michael Finlayson, Zach Michael, and then Hartenfels to round out the top 5 there. About 9 cars officially involved in that last one, receiving some type of damage or incident point here as we are 23 coming to 24 laps into this race here. Getting ready for the restart here. It's going to be Corey Hoover and Bradley Burke on the front row as the pace car is going to be pulling on down. Getting back to racing for the PurePwnage 150.
And here they go through turns 3 and 4. Just kind of slowly rolling. Here comes Corey. Any minute he'll step on it. Remember, leader can choose when to go. It's not any rules deciding for that. And he punches the accelerator, and we're back racing at Dover.
Now, one thing we did not talk about earlier is tire spin is going to be a monster. The Monster Mile's got its own monsters here. This old concrete surface makes it very hard to get going at times. We're going to have to keep our eyes on it as we got drivers knocking down that outside wall. Forget the Darlington stripe. That's in a few weeks here. You're going to have your Monster Mile marks all over, baby.
Definitely, and I would actually categorize this track as the hardest track to restart on. Not on new tires necessarily, but old tires especially. If you're on like even 5-lap old tires, it is very hard to get the car up to speed without having some wheel spin, and this guy's going to have to fight that along with many other things tonight, and so far a little bit single file up towards the front.
Yeah, Corey Hoover getting off to a good restart. Here comes Finlayson trying to take that second spot away from Burke. And Burke's having a very nice run opening here with that Interstate Battery Camaro scheme. New paint scheme for him coming up and off that corner here. Chasing down the leader, and we're sitting at just over half of a second. Will they be able to get up there? It's going to be a matter of time before we find out. They're either going to get up there, start battling with him earlier. I do believe that open, that clean air for Corey Hoover is going to be, really, it's going to be a deciding factor. I do believe that clean air is going to be so important.
Definitely, but look behind him, Austin Hartenfels, despite all that front end damage, kind of battling through adversity at the moment, still in the top 4, very surprisingly, so even that damage not impact Austin whatsoever.
That corner yet again. These drivers getting single file, trying to find their places in line here after 2 pretty scary opening runs. It looks like Carl Shedd in trouble here, as I do believe he will be the first retiree of the night, as Jeff Ramsdell 2 laps down, Jason Thompson already 1 lap down, Thomas Story the last car in the lead lap. And just taking a look through the field, Ryan Dyson still trying to battle back, 22nd right now. Bronson Stafford, he's currently in 17th.
Yeah, definitely some guys trying to fight back from some adversity, either with damage or just no track position at the moment. And I think a nice green flag run helps some of those guys who know they have a fast car and they just aren't where they want to be, get to where they want to be. Because if you have the speed on the long run, you can definitely get by guys here, kind of arc the turn, get them off the corner, or even on the corner entry if you're brave enough. And so far, though, Corey Hoover kind of deciding to check out from the rest of the field, almost a second lead over your second place car, Bradley Burke.
A little bit of a battle starting to form once again. Michael Finlayson trying to defend it from Austin Hartenfels, the current points leader. Austin's looking at that inside line, trying to make a little bit of a move here as we roll through 3 and 4. Huge run for that number 29 Castrol Edge machine on the inside line. Coming up off that corner, getting a little bit loose there down the front straightaway. Number 42 is going to maintain that spot into 1 and 2. 1 and 2, he's going to be able to get that nice run using that little bit of a higher line. Got that momentum wound up, coming up off that corner. That number 29, burning that right front off. Got to be so careful doing that. Almost coming up into that outside wall. These drivers getting so tight coming through 3 and 4. It's going to be that same story. Here comes that 42 getting up under the marbles. Here comes the 29. Big dive. He's going to get side by side down the front straightaway. It's a two-horse race down across the line. It's going to be Hartenfels on the inside line using that 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and it looks like that 29 is going to be able to get on through.
Definitely a lot of speed out of Austin Hartenfels there. Back up to the 3rd spot. Talked about having that front end damage. Apparently not impacting that car at all. So he's still very fast. Gets around Michael Finlayson. Also Chris Wright up there in the 5th spot, closing in, and looks like we got a caution on the track.
Not quite catching what it's for, Shane.
Looks like it's going to be between Colin Bowden and Bronson Stafford there in 3 and 4.
Let's take a look at that replay coming up off that corner there. You can see that WeatherTech 89 of Colin Bowden gets a little bit loose. Bronson Stafford with a big dive, gets underneath of him, clips him in the right rear. They nearly get that inside pit road wall exactly where you don't want to. And to be honest, they both did a nice job. They maintained it. And, you know, the caution comes out. You know how iRacing is, finicky as always.
Yeah, you get a car almost half sideways, even a little bit less than that, and they'll throw the caution, but I don't know. Colin Bowden looked like he had control of that car. Obviously, Bronson used some of the wall to control his car. They're going to have to repair that damage, but nonetheless, under our 2nd caution tonight, and or maybe our 3rd, but these guys getting ready to come down pit road.
Pit road is a pretty crazy place. Let's hop on board with Austin Hartenfels. That left side going up, and he's going to get that machine back down. A little bit of a slow stop, up and away, 15.1 second stop here. He's going to be one of the first drivers off, and you can see the rest of the leaders coming up off pit road as well. Corey Hoover going to be leading the charge. Bradley Burke's going to be 2nd, and then it looks like Hartenfels will be the 3rd car up off pit road. Zach Michael, that number 14 machine currently staying out. We'll have to see if he brings it down, Shane.
Yeah, definitely here, working our 3rd caution, and really haven't seen anybody stay out. Mike Tellier attempted to, but then brought it down at the last very minute, so maybe Zach will go ahead and lead a couple laps here under caution, get a bonus point, and then come down pit road. But we'll just have to see for that 14 car. He's been inside the top 10 for most of the day, so it might not be a bad idea to try it, but he will come down pit road this time.
Bradley Burke's going to be lining up on probably that outside row as Corey Hoover. I'm hearing the chatter that he's going to be choosing that inside line. That outside row is so tough to restart from, but you never know how it's going to work out here. Chris Wright inside the top 5. Michael Finlayson up inside the top 5. Michael McLean making a nice little comeback. We saw him hit that outside wall in that big pileup earlier on, and he's trying to get back up through the field here. We'll have to keep our eyes on him, as I do believe we've got that 2 to go. We're going to get the 1 to go. We're going to double back up and back to green flag racing for the PurePwnage 150.
Yeah, definitely almost ready to get back under the green flag, and so far we've seen 3 cautions working lap 37, so somewhat of a slow-paced race. We've got 150 laps scheduled for tonight, so we'll have to see if we can get some longer green flag runs in. Definitely a lot of close racing action, but we saw in just this caution alone, you know, pushing it a little bit too hard, putting the car where it really shouldn't be, and Seeing some contact there, that's pretty typical Dover racing.
And the pace car lights are going off, so we're going to get back to green flag racing here in just a hot second. You're going to watch it on live here. Steve Bone Steel, Shane Doherty up in the booth, of course, for the PurePwnage 150, the Upper Edge Racing CMC Sportsman Series here. Taking a look, you've got that points on the right side of your screen. It's a very warm day here. Track temperature getting up and over 100 degrees. Very interesting schedule as well. It's going to be very challenging for these drivers. Pocono, Darlington, and Martinsville specifically. Expect the rest of Dover, of course, this race in Michigan to be a very good race. Michigan always provides for some action here as we've got this restart.
Yeah, definitely. Each and every week, if you can tune in Thursday nights here on CFI, definitely something you don't want to miss here. The Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series. It's fun to cover and definitely fun to watch as we get ready for this restart. Corey Hoover, Bradley Burke, your front row. Pace car getting ready to pull off here. And there he goes to the inside. Here we go. Corey Hoover. Going to see when he steps on the accelerator, going a little bit later than usual compared to some of the other leaders this time. But there he goes. We're off. Back green flag at Dover.
Top 5 gets single file pretty quickly, and the field's trying to figure out exactly what they want to do here. As it's going to be, I think this might be that long run. I honestly do, Shane, as I'm looking right now, Michael Laria getting up through the field, but we got a battle shaping up for the lead.
Seems like these two always find each other really right next to each other when they're racing. Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels. Corey's got the lead, but Austin's looking for it. Despite the front end damage, that 29 car has caught your leader and is looking very strong here. Got a good run through turns 3 and 4. Take a look to the inside, nothing happening there. So maybe a couple laps here, you might see Austin take the lead. That car looking very sporty.
As we take a look up at the blimp, that top 5 getting spread out pretty well early on here in this run, as most of the field still trying to figure out exactly where they want to be. Shane, I just saw that number 29 of Hartenfels get pretty darn loose up and off that corner.
Yeah, he's driving hard, and something tells me he's driving harder than anybody out here right now, trying to get that lead and unable to there, and he'll have to gather it back up, but it looks like he's closing ground once again on Corey, so Corey's kind of taking it easy here, and I think Austin's really going for it, wants that lead really badly.
Hopping on board with J.D. Laird, just made a couple of really tight passes there. He's going to come up and off of turn 4. He's going to end up being all the way back up to 12th position after being outside that top 20, after being involved in that wreck with Jeff Ramsdell, getting loose off that corner, got tapped and spun around there, making a nice little comeback out of that number 23 so far. 3.5 seconds back from the leader almost here, as he's got plenty of cars to go through, but we'll have to keep our eyes on this number 23 as he continues his Upper Edge debut.
Yeah, definitely J.D. Laird saw him in the lead. He's been fast when he can have the car underneath him, so we'll have to see if he can get back up toward the front. Maybe those boot conditions off the corner have corrected themselves, and he might be someone to challenge with before this race is over. But for the most part, Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels, they're trying to break away from Bradley Burke, but Bradley's just kind of hanging tough there in third.
Lots of really tight racing, and looking at Ryan Dyson, I do believe he may have some issues back there. Shane, I do believe you got an update on him.
Yeah, definitely. He's gone 3 laps down there. I believe he just came out of the pits. I believe did Ryan Dyson. Maybe some problems there. They changed all 4 tires on it. He sat on pit road for a while. He's now officially 4 laps down. So we'll have to see what caused his problems there, but definitely not the night Ryan was describing to us before the race. Wanted a good run here tonight. So far, that looks like it won't happen.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is possibly some battery issues on that number 28. He switched over to an alternate and still having issues with the power in that number 28. and had to bring it down. It looks like it was an alternator issue, so they must have switched that out for him. So that number 28 London Recreational Racing Machine has a long journey ahead of him. We'll have to keep everyone updated here, as he's having a lot of issues, and some of the other contenders we thought would be up there are also having issues, like J.D. Laird, Jeff Ramsdell. So tough night at Dover so far for a lot of drivers.
And it's important to note that Jeff Ramsdell would be the free pass car. He is 2 laps down. And then it would be Ryan Dyson 4 laps down. So it's going to be a while before Ryan can start getting some of those laps back. Might need to use some wave buys here. But he's going to need cautions ultimately to even have a chance to get back in this thing. So looks like we're on a little bit of a green flag run here. And guys getting spread out, definitely not going to help that cause.
Davis and Rapolo with that new Control Freak scheme looks pretty sporty, and it looks like that 3M number 24 going to look to the inside line. He's not going to be able to do anything with it here. He's going to hold back there for a second here, as we are now a third of the way through this event as we cross the line. Lap 50 out of 150 coming across the line here. It's Trevor Rapolo battling Riley Grant Davis, and here comes one of those newcomers, that number 30 as well in the mix here. We've got lots of little battles around this track. Colin Bowden getting into the picture as well, as they're battling up in front of him. J.D. Laird continuing on the move.
Yeah, JD's looking underneath Joe Lawrence there. That would put the 23 car back in the top 10 if he can make that pass. But Joe looking pretty sporty up there in the 10th spot, and he's having a solid day. Started 15th, still in the top 10 is Joe. So he's kind of minding his own business right now, trying to hold off JD, and it's going to be interesting to see if JD can make his way by Joe, because then he's got a pack of cars up there that are kind of all in a line.
Now riding on board with the roll bar here on that number 23, he's making that move, looking to the inside line. He's going to be able to get on the inside of that safety clean number 78. Big dive into 1 and 2 on that inside line. Got to be so careful not to push up. So easy too. He's going to be able to make that pass, keep it off that wall. And now inside the top 10, here comes the number 23 of J.D. Laird once again.
The 6 of Chad Coleman up here, a couple of cars in front of him as well, kind of battling with the 48 there. That's Mark Murphy and Joseph Tice as well. They're side by side. Saw a little bit of the tires on the apron there for Mark Murphy. Does a nice job controlling it. All these guys fighting for around the 7th spot and doing a nice job here.
Yeah, they go behind that back straightaway building for a hot second there, just taking a look from above. And number 6, of course, affiliated, of course, with J.D. Laird. You can see that JDR logo on the back there. As they come through 1 and 2, it's going to be that 3-car battle continuing.
And just ahead of them, it's the 44 of Michael Laria, and we documented he was on pit road for extended repairs on that first caution, and he's made his way back up into the top 6 and is looking on the back bumper of Michael Finlayson to try and get back into that top 5. So got a couple of guys trying to rebound toward the front here, and if they do get there, we'll have to see how their speeds stack up against Corey Hoover's.
I tell you what, there's one driver that undeniably is having some pretty good speed against Corey Hoover. I'm just not sure how that run that number 29's got is going to be able to affect that right front tire. Really big dive and on the throttle really early, so that right front's probably going to be screaming for air, and for cool air, that is, as they come up off that corner. You can see that number 29 fishtailing just a little bit. So Austin Hartenfels, as they start to battle again for that lead, got to keep your eye on that number 29 Castrol Edge machine. I've got a feeling he's got something left in the tank, but of course it's really early in this event to really say much about it, but we'll have to keep our eye on it here as these guys up front, depending on how they battle, it could set the tone for the rest of the race.
Definitely could, and Corey's out here leading pretty much the most of the laps, and he's been out here leading since that first caution or so. So I don't know if you're Austin, you maybe want those bonus points. I don't know if he's led a lap or not tonight, but he's coming pretty close to. He's been right there trying to make runs, but I think he's pretty content riding where he is, because he probably would have made a couple of runs at it before, but really hasn't been hinting toward that. So Austin's going to ride in second for now, and Bradley Burke only a couple tenths behind him in third there, and he's doing a nice job of keeping pace with these guys.
Nice pass by Michael Laria there, gets around that number 42 of Finlayson, that fast and all number 42. So at number 44, after being a pretty fast car in that opening run with a little bit of damage, trying to work his way back up through the field inside the top 5 now, trying to move her up a little bit closer, get up to that number 20 of Chris Wright, and take over that 4th position.
J.D. Laird has caught this little pack up here for the 9th, 8th, and 7th spots, so have to see if he can continue to make his way toward the front. But that's the key for long runs here at Dover. If you can hang on to those tires and do a nice job of keeping the car off the wall and just getting into a rhythm, you're going to find you're going to catch some guys, pass them, and just have overall great speed. And we're seeing that right now out of J.D. Laird, Michael Laria. They make their way back up toward the front. They're just doing a nice job of taking care of their tires and ultimately just making the passes they need to make.
Yeah, J.D. Laird making a pass on the outside here on Joseph Tice. Is he going to be able to do it? Oh my god, yes he will. As that right there is pretty impressive. Now he's got that number 6 of Chad Coleman, that Hofax machine up in front of him. That number 23 is just hauling the mail UPS priority package to the field. Looking to the inside line, he's going to be able to make that pass there to number 6 as he is just slicing and dicing through that pack.
Yeah, he keeps this pace up. He's going to overnight that shipment to the lead at this point because he's going for 8th there, and he gets it from Chad Coleman. Chad goes up the hill a little bit there, but JD looking like a car that possibly could get toward the front here before the end of the race. Talked about it earlier. He doesn't appear to be loose off the corner anymore, so maybe that problem is corrected, and he might be a car to beat.
Mike Laria continuing to try to chase down that number 20 of Chris Wright, now down the front straightaway. That Sprite machine just a couple of car lengths ahead of him there as he's going to swing around the outside of that Thompson Signs machine. That's going to hold Chris Wright up quite a bit there as they continue to battle up for the lead. Let's take a quick look at that there. Let's zoom out. Bradley Burke is probably about 8/10 back from Corey Hoover, our leader, and he's got a nice view of them as they start to get ready to probably start tangoing and battling once again for that top spot.
Yeah, see Bradley working a little bit different line in turns 1 and 2 than your 2 leaders, a little bit up high compared to them and trying to maybe save that right front a little bit more. Could come in handy here as the run goes on, but he is giving up a little bit of ground with that, and he's still within a second. No one else is even close to these two, but Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfeld's very fast and once again pretty much evenly spaced in speed.
Yeah, just taking a look. I mean, they're matching each other lap for lap, almost just maybe a quarter of a tenth off, depending on the lap. Give it each way. So we'll have to keep our eyes on it, see how it continues to work out for him here. Ryan Dyson still 4 laps down. Mark Roppolo has retired from the race, or at least brought that machine down to the garage area. Bronson Stafford trying to recover with some pretty substantial right side damage on that number 39 Home Depot machine. You actually just saw Ryan Dyson get up and around him there as we're on lap 66. Oh, as we might have trouble there. Mike Tellier barely holding on to it on that front straightaway there. Number 97 getting really, really loose up on the high side. Oh, man, as we got all kinds of drivers just all over the place. Mike Tellier now going around, but he's going to be able to save it.
It's pretty impressive. Hangs on to it there, does Mike, but the leaders are coming for him down the back straightaway into turn 3, and looks like he's going to bring that 97 down pit road. So tough break for Mike Tellier, but starting to see the leaders deal with some lap traffic. Couple of cars either down off the pace or have substantial damage hindering their efforts. So looks like Corey Hoover ducks to the inside this time of Thomas Story and completes that pass pretty easily. But it looks like almost a car on the wall there in front of him.
Yeah, almost Bradley Burke gets caught up with that number 47 there as he's struggling a little bit. That's going to be Story. Top 5 as they run Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfeld, Bradley Burke, Laria, and Chris Wright. We're going to head off for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got more for you here at Dover International Raceway on Checkered Flag Interactive. Steve Bowen, Steel and Shane Doherty return in just a few moments.
Contact once, and who will it be coming across the line? It will be Corey Hoover.
Coming through the corner, they hit!
Get together! Onto Hartfeld, Ryan Dyson together, and they're all wrecking behind him, and
Back here on Checkered Flag Interactive, more issues for Thompson here. That 61 gets into a little bit of trouble once again. He's going to loop it around, and I do believe that 61 machine has taken it to the garage area for the night. Just that back end. Again, I think that tire just blew out on him there, and he loops it around down the front. Possibly a little bit of a rubbing fender or something causing that issue here.
yeah, definitely unfortunate there for Jason Thompson, and he's going to have to probably retire that car for the night. As you said, Steve, got some big time problems there. Not the race he was looking for. Was a couple laps down, but still had a chance to get back on the lead lap, and all that is said for none at this point. So tough break for him, but once again under caution. Leaders did decide to come down pit road. It was 4 tires and fuel for everybody, and it looks like Ryan Dyson's going to go ahead and take the wave by, so he'll get one of those 4 laps back, and that'll at least be a little bit of a dent in the damage he has to make up.
Yeah, Carl Shedd also retired on the night. Mike Tellier retired on the night as well. So it's been a pretty brutal day for some drivers here for the PurePwnage 150.
Just a couple laps away from halfway as well, and so far in the first part of this race, we've seen some decent green flag runs there. That one was pretty long, but these guys definitely not try to race at all, side by side, even some contact time to time. It's been one of those typical Dover races. You see a big wreck or two here and there, happens on the front straightaway or back straightaway, and then get some nice runs here. Guys settle in. You really start to see the guys who have the better longer end cars come toward the front, and right now they're there with J.D. Laird, Michael Laria. They've made their way back up there. Also nice runs from Mark Murphy, Chris Wright, and obviously we were talking about Bradley Burke, but he's going to find himself all the way down in 20th, so have to see what happened to that 2 car.
Regardless, we're all doubled up here for another one of these restarts, and it's going to be the Hartenfelds and Corey Hoover as they're going to be starting on that front row again. J.D. Laird creeping very, very close to that top 5, Shane, as I do believe he's actually sitting in that 5th position.
Yeah, he is. He's getting ready there on the inside lane. There is the 23, and all these guys getting ready for once again a restart. Well, you kind of have a feeling what your car's got now. Maybe it's time to start ramping it up a bit and getting some spots here if you're toward the back half of the field and getting ready for yet another restart. Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels, they've been pretty much next to each other the entire race. Going to lead the field to the green. As the green flag drops, we're back racing at Dover.
Pretty clean restart for the most part here, as all of these cars pretty much on clean tires as well. Coming up off that corner, these guys getting really, really loose. Corey Hoover almost clips that outside wall. Hartenfeld's looking to the outside. Finlayson's got a battle in front of him. Chris Wright and that number 44 of Laria. J.D. Laird all the way to 3rd now, making a pass on the outside of Markel Murphy, as that was an impressive. I have not seen a driver make that many outside passes at Dover probably ever, Shane, as I've got a feeling that number 23 is going to be a force to be reckoned with as Laria catches the outside wall.
Yeah, he smacked it there. Definitely did not get the angle off the corner the 44 car needed. He's going to hold his spot in the outside there, but going to have to deal with some damage for Michael, but still hanging strong there. He's fighting side by side with Michael Finlayson, going for that Oh, so important. 6th spot as they make contact there. Gather it back up, but really close racing.
Chad Coleman right in the midst of things as well, as here comes Joseph Tice trying to make a comeback. Joe Lawrence hung up on the outside. Justin Munsil in the mix as well, wants to get up and around him. Oh, gets loose on that inside line. He's going to save it as Michael McLean gets a little bit nervous there as Trevor Roppolo looks on from behind, just holding his breath, hoping for the best here. And then J.D. Laird now on the inside of Austin Hartenfeld's big dive by that number 23. Oh my gosh, Shane, what a huge dive that was. I don't even think he expected it to dive it that deep. That's why he had to check up so hard there on the inside. And 1 and 2, that number 23 just looking fastest car on the track 3 times in a row.
Yeah, definitely. This is some speed we're seeing on it, JD, and there's not a single car out there that's had that kind of week. And Michael Finlayson hard into the wall off turn 2, though. Caution's out.
And he's going to stay down the inside line, and not too much damage on that number 42, but I do believe that engine's expired from the hit, so possibly a busted radiator, and then just instantaneous problems there is that's all the coolant burning off from the back of that machine there.
Yeah, we'll get a replay up for you, but it looks like he got loose off turn 2, was trying to save it, and then Chad Coleman, really no time to react, kind of finished him off there, hard to the inside wall he goes, and as you said, Steve, smoke billowing out from the rear end, and that's pretty much going to bode the end of the night there for Michael Finlayson. Tough break.
Shane, I've caught up with Austin Hartenfels, one of our in-race reporters here, currently up in 3rd, that RCA Racing machine's got some damage from being caught up in that huge pileup on the front straightaway a little bit earlier, but he's currently looking pretty damn sporty out there, 82 laps into this race, currently sitting in 3rd. First, my question for you is, do you think that 23 car is going to pass post-race inspection?
Yeah, he's really quick. I don't know where he came from. I know he was further back. But you know, I'm looking forward to racing with him and seeing how this goes. He definitely got under me there, and I got really loose, and you know, it's really sketchy off these corners. So he made a good move there, and we'll see where he goes with it. But having fun so far.
Yeah, it looks like it's been a blast out there so far. Take us through. We heard teammate Ryan Dyson having some issues there. I do believe batteries were dying on that machine. Then the alternator had to be replaced down on pit road. Has the issue been resolved on your number 20 or your number 28 teammate?
I believe so. He's just trying to get his lats back now at this point. You know, he's taking a few wave rounds and stuff, and he's getting his tires and everything like that. So, yeah, if he has enough laps left and if he can get it back, then he'll be in contention for sure.
Take us through, as a driver, how hard it is when you're trying to drive around here and you've got battery issues with your communications. Like, I know anytime I have issues, those radiator fans, especially at tracks like Dover, where it's so bumpy, you can hit these bumps and it kills those fans. You've got backup switches and everything. But take us through the challenge of racing at a place like Dover and having to worry about so many other things inside that car as well.
It is really crazy because you know, there's just so much involved with this track. You can't lose focus. You get off you come off a corner, you glance down or something, and if the next thing you know, you're sideways. So you really have to stay focused the entire time. If you have any other distractions, it's really hard to get around this place quick and cleanly, because it's very hard to come off the corner and tag the wall with how loose these cars are and how much these cars are jumping around the corners.
Now, one last thing, and I'll let you get back down here for this restart. Very tough schedule coming up. What are your thoughts on the tracks that are coming up around the corner here pretty quickly?
Well, I know Michigan's right up next, and I love Michigan. I know we had a fantastic race in this league the series last season. We had a good finish, me and Corey did, so I'm looking forward to that. And I know we've got a couple other great tracks coming for RCA, everybody. I know we've got Darlington, which is going to be pretty tricky, but I'm hoping that goes well. And then, of course, Pocono and Martinsville have been really good to me, so I'm looking forward to the stretch here.
All right, Austin. Well, thanks for coming up here and talking to us. We might talk to you and Ryan a little bit later on. Pace car lights are going off. We're going to have this restart this time. Bye. Good luck out there.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Shane, back up you.
Gonna be Corey Hoover and J.D. Laird for the front one this restart, and as you said, Steve, that 23 J.D. Laird, legal or not, definitely up there for the front, up there for the win, and he's got some great speed, and he may or may not elect to make this pass on the outside if Corey doesn't get a good jump here, so it'll be interesting to see. Corey's led most of the race here tonight, and he's been very strong as usual, as he always is here in the Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series, and he's got his teammate Austin Hartenfels behind him there, boding well in third. Just heard from him. Also Mark Murphy up there in the fourth spot doing a nice job, and Michael Laria, despite hitting the wall, still in top 5.
So Brett Bodine, driver of the Ford Mustang iRacing pace car, is going to be headed down pit road. Man, one of these times I gotta get down there and drive that thing, and maybe iRacing one day will actually update that, as that's just a nuisance, that old paint scheme. He's gonna pull down pit road and unleash the beast, almost probably about 25,000 horsepower behind him here, as these cars are up and away. Green flag back in the air. We are racing. Tough restart for JD Laird in that whole outside line there, but JD's been so strong on these restarts and on the outside. We'll have to see how he manages here as Austin Hartenfels tries to battle on that inside line. It's going to be a dead heat down the back straightaway, and it looks like JD Laird's going to have the momentum, be able to clear him in number 3 and 4.
Mark Murphy might try and follow along with their battle with Austin Hartenfels for the third spot. Mark's doing a nice job. Austin's loose. Gets into the wall hard. Gonna hang on to it, but oh, we got a caution wreck. Chad Coleman involved in. Oh man, they're still right behind
the
him.
14 of Zach Michael gets caught up in it. Oh no.
Definitely unfortunate break there, Chad, Zach, but Austin, he was up there and once again into the wall, and now that car's got some serious damage, so tough break for Austin. We'll queue up the replay.
And just catching the tail end of that from Chad Coleman's view on board, just nowhere to go, and then you're getting beaten around like a pinball out there. Let's take a look from the blimp. We'll go back a ways here and take a look at what it's like at this place. You see right there, that's where JD Laird up in front is able to make that pass on the outside. Here comes Mark Murphy making that pass on the outside of Austin Hartenfels. You've got Chad Coleman just right there behind him, and that back end just swings around on Hartenfels and nowhere to go and around and in front of traffic. Really, the field did a great job checking up like they did. It was just that odd chance that he had that bad bounce and he came back down in front of Zach Michael.
And Zach actually got hit from behind. Looking at the replay, I believe Michael McLean kind of shunted him there and got him up into the wall at one point, but Chad Coleman made contact with him as well, so Zach, a little bit of assistance there on that wreck, but he's got some front end and rear end damage as well, so they're going to have to go to work on that car along with Chad Coleman. Both those guys were inside the top 10 at the time especially, so that's definitely a tough break for them.
Taking a look right now, the standing, it's going to be Corey Hoover, J.D. Laird, Mark Murphy, Michael Laria, Joe Lawrence inside the top 5, Joseph Tice, Trevor Roppolo, Riley Grant Davis, Justin Munsell there, and then rounding out the top 5, Austin Hartenfels. Expect him to be down on pit road getting some damage repaired here. We're going to step away for a hot second. We're going to head off to a quick commercial break. We'll be back here on Checkered Flag Interactive for more here for the PurePwnage 150.
Contact one, and who will it be coming across the line? It will be Corey Hoover.
Coming through the corner, they hit!
Get together! Austin Hartenfels, Mike Tyson together, and they're all wrecking behind them.
looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do.
Pace cars pulling down here at Dover, and we're turning the field back over to J.D. Laird and Corey Hoover. Corey Hoover, the leader, J.D. in second there on the outside line. Green flag in the air, and what a dead restart there for the two of them. Dead even. I think J.D. Laird almost was able to maybe possibly beat him across the line. What a restart.
He definitely learned from the last one, timing this one almost perfectly. Now he's going to do a crossover. Corey Hoover into the wall. Wow. What a move by J.D. Laird. It took the air off the rear spoiler of Corey Hoover, and that got him so loose he got in the wall.
And that right there is a move of champions. Really, he did that perfectly. Let off early going into 1 and 2, knowing that he was going to drive the hell out of it coming off the corner, and took that air right off. That back end swept down. And Corey sitting there empty-handed, doesn't even know what happened.
He really doesn't. That's the most action that 33 has seen all night. He's usually walked away and been in front of the field, and that time by, you had to put the hands on the wheel and really wheel it. And now he's back and forth, hanging on. He's got Michael Laria looking to the inside there. No, nothing happening there. So Corey going to have to regain his confidence, but J.D. Laird out there in the lead.
Michael McLean trying to move back up as the 30 gets loose. That's going to be David Ankeny, and he does a nice job holding on to it. He's going to not get around or anything like that. We're going to stay green right now. Tom Bourne trying to get inside that top 10, that number 18 machine. Trying to move up here is plenty of comers and goers.
And definitely some of the guys who were in the back half of the field, they found their way back up toward the front with some of these wrecks. And just we say, Tom Bourne hard at the inside wall. He's going around, and caution's going to come out. Wow, we're jinxing a lot of people tonight. That's too bad for Tom.
As I do believe the CFI curse continues to live on here. Started talking about him moving up in the field a little bit, and you're going to see what happens here. Just gets loose up off that corner into the inside wall and around. That Yelp machine goes.
It's an unfortunate break for Tom, and that looks to be kind of the same situation we had with Michael Finlayson. Got smoke outside the rear end there, so Tom's going to have a long visit to pit road, so that's unfortunate for him. Was finally running good, and something bad happens.
I've got to ring in with our other in-race reporter, Ryan Dyson. Frustrated right now, having a tough day out there. We saw you earlier on have issues with the batteries. Turns out the alternator was dead on that machine. You came down pit road, got it switched out, and now that machine's running okay. Luckily, no more battery issues out there. Trying to get those laps back. How's that progress coming?
Yeah, just a tough day at the track. Sometimes it happens. We try to fight back here. Every time we seem to get in a good spot, though, someone else goes a lap down. Now there's two. Oh, I just got the lucky dog somehow, so that's sweet. Now I'm back to 1 lap down. Just as I'm about to go to complain about it, I just got a lap back, so back down to 1 to go. So hopefully we can get back on lead lap here and start fighting again.
We talked to your teammate Austin Hartfells a little bit earlier about how hard it can be. There's so many things going on inside of that car. And earlier today we saw you struggling a little bit, and it turns out it was you're just trying to figure out what was going on between the 2 battery packs in the car there. And, you know, taking your hands off the wheel, having to do so many things inside these cars, it's tough. take us through how tough it is at a place like Dover in comparison to other tracks that are much less attention-worthy.
Yeah, I think you do anything, you're going for a ride. You got to focus at all times here. It's kind of like a larger Bristol, except in all honesty, I find it more challenging than Bristol because the way the car unloads coming off the corner. So you can't do anything other than focus on the race, or you'll be in trouble. Right off the start, we started 6th. I was very happy with that. And then we got stuck in the outside lane, went all the way back to 14th. And as you said, the problems we had. It's just been a rough day so far, but we're back down to 1 lap down, and we're going to hopefully get into the top 18 at least, hopefully.
All right, Ryan, well, thanks for coming up here to talk to us. We wish you the best of luck. We still got about 50 laps just over to go, so there's plenty of time out there in the Monster Mile. I'm pretty sure Miles the Monster is not done taking cars out here tonight, so best of luck out there. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been a fun race so far. I mean, the few cautions we've had are just a product of the racing here. It's due to happen. I'm sure next week we'll probably have a lot more green flag racing. It's due to happen, though. We'll catch up later.
Shane, back down to you.
Still working under caution here. Got some pit strategy happening here. Chris Wright, Colin Bowden, David Ankeny, and Bronson Stafford have elected to stay out so far, while the rest of your leaders came down pit road, got 4 tires and fuel. So it'll have to be interesting to see if this caution does continue on and these guys don't come down pit road. It was a relatively short green flag run, so might be taking a chance here later in the race, maybe trying something. Really, a lot of these guys have nothing to lose.
Yeah, here's, I do believe we should get the 1 to go this time by, and it's been a pretty long drivers this place, like Ryan said. Toughest tracks on the iRacing and the NASCAR schedule, and you know, it really does live up to the name, the Monster Mile. Here as those pace car lights are coming off, and it's going to be a Colin Bowden and Chris Wright front row. Chris Wright choosing the outside line as the leader here. It's going to be an interesting one, but we're going to see how it works out. Remember, these old tires are a little bit tough. Bronson Stafford up there as well, and he's got a pretty damaged car. So let's just keep our eyes on what's going on up here.
Yeah, and I don't know if these guys have had any experience here, or particularly restarting on old tires, but it's something that it's going to be new to these guys. We haven't tried it before. It will wake you up in a hurry. You're going to have to be up on the wheel. Definitely watch those shifts. Don't be too aggressive when you get on the gas. You are up front. You're the top 4 cars, so you go around. The rest of the field has nowhere to go, and we've seen that happen once in this race. Don't want it again, so have to see how these guys handle this restart. Chris Wright, your leader, going to elect the outside lane. So maybe he thinks that's going to help the tire spin, and here they come in turns 3 and 4. We're about to see how this works out.
Yep, that pace car is going to pull on down and once again relinquish the beast of the race, and now it's going to be the flag man that's got to let these cars go, as he's got that green flag in his hand, and he's going to start waving it right up now, and he's waiting, there he goes. Green flag back in the air here, and oh, just like that, there's that trouble. Corey Hoover gets into the back of Bronson Stafford. Everybody's going all over the place, but we're staying green, baby. And that is that tire spin problem we talked about earlier here on these old tires.
Yeah, and I think some cars got some black flags because of that, and they're going to have to clear those. Very tough break for Bronson Stafford, hard into the wall, but these guys on older tires, they're going backwards in a hurry. David Ankeny, he's not going backwards, but Chris Wright is all over the place right now. Mark Murphy, Corey Hoover, and also Joe Lawrence trying to look underneath that car, so only Colin Bowden and David Ankeny able to get away with those tires there.
Yeah, Corey Hoover got a little bit of front end damage from that. Nothing too substantial, so he should be fine on it. Big dive underneath that number 20 of Chris Wright. He's going to be able to make that pass there. Gets a little bit loose as there's a pack of cars there. Quick blink as it is getting exciting right there. There's a caution. I reckon in the back it's going to be Zach, Michael, and Tom's Story.
Yeah, going to be another wreck on the front straightaway here, and once again, Carl loses it off the corner, and Thomas has got nowhere to go. Thomas Story, and wow, Ryan Dyson just barely sneaks through that. I don't think he got a piece.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was some heads-up driving by Ryan Dyson. Let's take a look at that from the chopper. keep your eyes on that number 28 on the back of the screen here. You're going to see that 47 start to have some issues in front of him. There goes the 14, and whoa, Ryan Dyson squeaks on through. A little bit of right side scrape there, but he'll be a-okay.
Yeah, definitely heads up move. I don't think that's going to give him the lucky dog, unfortunately, because he may or may not have gotten an incident point. Even if it is a 0x iRacing's incident rating system, they will not give him the lucky dog. So it's a tough break for Ryan in that department, but he still gets through the wreck and is going to have minimal damage, and at least now he'll use this caution to come down pit road, get some damage fixed, get some tires on it, and maybe next caution he'll be the lucky dog.
And we're still sitting here live on Checkered Flag Interactive for the PurePwnage 150 here. We're going to head off for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got the restart for you. Steve Bonesteel, Shane Doherty, the voices of sim racing and your choice in iRacing broadcast here on Checkered Flag Interactive. Don't go away. We'll be right back in just a few moments.
Contact one, and who will it be coming across the line? It will be Corey Homer.
Coming through the corner, they hit!
They get together! Onto ourselves, Mike Dyson together! Hey, they all wrecking behind them, but head through.
Line back up here, heading down the back straightaway. It's going to be Colin Bowden leading these guys down to the green flag, but it's going to be J.D. Laird on his outside, Shane. And I do believe that's going to be a pretty interesting front row. We'll have to see how it is. Colin Bowden got some older tires up here. Tire spin might come into play once again. We'll have to see how it works out here as we've got that Ford First Mustang pace car heading down pit road.
Yeah, Colin Bowden's the final car that did not pit. Chris Wright brought his machine down pit road, and David Ankeny, the other car that stayed out, is actually retired from this event, so tough break for him. We'll see how Colin does on this restart, though. Elects the inside. Pace car pulls off. He hits the gas. We're back to green flag racing.
Yeah, oddly enough, It was that outside row of J.D. Laird that had a little bit of an issue there on that start, but here he comes with a hell of a run on the outside line. Colin Bowden and that WeatherTech machine's got Mark Murphy looking all over him. J.D. Laird catches the outside wall. He's going to look back to the inside line there. Not going to be able to do so as Mark Murphy fills the hole. Big dive by Mark Murphy as he's going to go for that lead here. Corey Hoover underneath J.D. Laird. J.D. Laird gets a little bit loose. J.D. Laird holds on with down front straight away. Hoover trying to get underneath him. He's going to look Mark Murphy underneath of Colin Bowden. Bowden trying to hold on to that top spot. And Bowden's going to get that run off turn 3 or 1 and 2, excuse me there. Very impressive job with those old tires. But Murphy looks on that back bumper again, possibly going to give him a little bit of a tap there coming up off that corner. There's that tap, and Colin Bowden slips up the track.
Yeah, gave him a little bit of patience there, waited about 2 laps, finally put the bumper to it, and Colin Bowden out of the groove, and he'll fall from first, second, and possibly going to lose third here to Corey Hoover, who looks on the inside. Now it's just hang-on time for Colin. He's on older tires in the unpreferred groove. Just going to have to hang on here and maybe find his way back in the line.
I tell you what, Mark Murphy's got a handful in front of him there. J.D. Laird going, oh, we got trouble in the back. No caution, keeping our eyes up at the front. I do believe that will be Chad Coleman that had that problem back there, but no caution. Oh, and Colin Bowden gets loose underneath Corey Hoover.
They're all over the place in this little pack, but wow, nice job by Colin. That could have been really bad. He's on old foreign tires, and you get those heated up, they definitely aren't going to grip whatsoever. Going to be very slick, and he's doing a nice job hanging on, because he's just going to have to do that. He's on older tires and going to have to nurse this car back before we get another chance to get back on the road.
More trouble going on in the back there. Mark Garoppolo hard in the outside wall. Not sure exactly what happened there, but taking a look back at the front here, it's Mark Murphy still leading this race over J.D. Laird as we have under 40 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely getting down to crunch time. Mark Murphy's finding his way toward the front. He did this at Las Vegas and was able to pull out the win there, so have to see if he can continue that. But JD's been very strong, hasn't been back in the lead since coming off of turn 4 and spinning out earlier in the race, so he's very hungry and he's definitely fast. Picked up about a 10th there on your leader that last time by, and he's coming. That 23's got some speed and may or may not be your leader here soon.
Let's just take a moment and crank it up and Checkered Flag Interactive. Caution's out.
Colin Bowden goes hard into the inside wall there. Don't know if that was for the caution, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's Chad Coleman in the Hofex machine down on the front straightaway that went around.
He did there, and looks like he's got some help there from Michael Finlayson perhaps, and Thomas Story around there as well. So tough break for Chad. He's had a tough night ever since getting involved in one of those wrecks. And also documented Colin Bowden hit the wall on the inside line there in the back straightaway, so now he's got some heavy left side damage.
Yeah, caught the tail end of that there. Just looks like he got loose on the exit, and that WeatherTech machine's going to do a little bit of a pound of that inside wall. So it's been a pretty hellacious night out here for a lot of these drivers, and we're under caution once again.
And I would think Colin's going to bring that 89 down for damage repair and also tires, and I believe he will, along with pretty much the rest of the field, as they're going to take this chance to come down pit road, except J.D. Laird, so that's a little bit clutch there, but most of your field on pit road.
Got a ring in right now with Corey Hoover as he brings that number 33 machine down pit road. Corey, it's been a pretty tough night out there. How's that number 33 doing after some scary moments?
Yeah, it's certainly been a wild day here at Dover. I had a bet going with Ryan that I told him I'd do my best Darrell Waltrip impression, so not going to do that yet. I'll do that at the end of the race. I'll save that for later. But I've had fast pit stops. I got into the wall once or twice. It's just traffic has been a bad issue, especially getting through on restarts. Almost had a big stack up with people on older tires.
Well, I hate to tell you it again, we've got about 6, 7 cars up there that are going to be on old tires. and possibly, actually, I do believe a couple more staying out as well. So it's going to be interesting getting up through that top 5, especially here on this restart, especially with J.D. Laird out in front. He's going to be trying to get that number 23 around here in his debut. What's it been like having some new competition out here?
Yeah, me and him, we had a moment at Sonoma, I'd say, but we've gotten over that. We're all straightened out now, but yeah, he's pretty quick. He races hard every weekend and week out. It's good to see him up front. He's a good guy, along with Chad Coleman, who else he brought in. Yeah, just got to fight through some traffic here, and hopefully we can be racing with him in the end.
All right, well, before we step away, who do you have to thank for all that action down here today?
Yeah, we got Comedic Gasket on board for our first time this season. Got to thank our Brothers Pizza and Ryan Dyson for painting my cars.
All right, Corey, well, thanks for coming up here and talking to us. We've got that 2 to go this time by, and it's going to be another one of those CFI restarts. A couple of drivers did come down, so it's just about the top 5 that are on older tires. It's going to be an interesting restart. Good luck out there.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Shane, taking a look at the top 5 right now, the top 4 are on old tires. J.D. Laird out in front, then you got Tice, Roppolo, and Davis, top 4, and then Mark Murphy, the first car on new tires. Chad Coleman in that 6 Hofax machine going to be able to get that wave by out here, and he's going to be back getting one more lap back, and it's going to be another one of those restarts where I think everyone's butt cheeks, they're going to be clenched, that's for sure.
Definitely, and especially this new group of drivers that have stayed out. They haven't stayed out on old tires before during this race, so it's just going to be another group of drivers who's going to have to be very, very careful on this restart. You don't want to do what Bronson Stafford did. To be honest, I'm lucky we didn't have a big wreck when he did hit the wall on that restart. So we'll have to see if Riley Grant Davis, Trevor Rapolo, they're on the outside lane there. They don't do that, and everything else is pretty much up to the drivers at this point. We'll have to see if this tire strategy really does pay off for these guys, especially J.D. Laird, and maybe these guys with the new tires can make their way toward the front. Something different maybe that we haven't seen.
Up here, this could be the final restart of the night. You just never know. As Dover, the Monster Mile tonight's been claiming drivers left and right. J.D. Laird, Joseph Tice front row.
Pace car comes through turns 3 and 4. We'll get ready to blow off. Important that J.D. Laird does elect the inside lane for this restart, so he thinks that's going to be his best chance to get a nice clean jump here without spinning the tires, and closely pursued there by Trevor Rapolo on the inside, so have to see how that works. And there he goes, the green flag back in the air. We're once again racing at Dover.
A much cleaner restart for those drivers this time, that's for sure. And Shane, one thing we do need to talk about, Ryan Dyson in that number 28, persistence is key. Now 1.5 laps down here tonight, back on the lead lap, racing now in 12th.
Definitely come back for Ryan. He's got plenty of time too. We've still got over 30 laps to go in this race, so he's got some time. Work on that car. He's already been doing it there, and he's up to 12th now in this restart. So Ryan taking a bad day and possibly turning it into something.
Colin Bowden again getting loose. Gonna save it in the back there. That was a close one.
Watching your guys back up front, though. Corey Hoover's up to 3rd, looking at the back bumper of Joseph Tice. He's trying to get on there. He's got to get by Joseph because J.D. Laird's checking out here. He's got a fast car, but on old tires, as Corey gets loose, he's going to hang on to it there. Starting to see some of these guys with those 4 fresh tires make their way toward the front.
Trevor Rapolo gets passed by Mark Murphy. Now here comes Michael Baria, wants to get around him as well. Not going to be able to make that pass quite yet. Here comes Chris Wright as well. Austin Hartfell's in the picture, trying to get over there. Ryan Dyson still in 12th, trying to continue to move up. And take a top 10 for Ryan Dyson. I think you should be ecstatic, considering that battery and alternator issue earlier on, and being able to make a comeback like that, very impressive.
Yeah, definitely, and he's just got to do the nice job he's been doing so far, making up casual spots. He actually has his teammate Joe Lawrence behind him there, so a little bit of protection, I guess, from anybody challenging him. But for the most part, these guys up front, they're definitely not content where they want to be. They want the lead, and they're doing everything they can to get by some people. Chris Wright looked underneath Michael Laria, and nothing happening there, and pretty much starting to get spread out now as these guys make passes toward the front.
Corey Hoover gets underneath Joseph Tyson down the back straightaway in dead heat here. It's going to be that number 33 machine, that Comatech machine, getting on and around him there on that inside. Very nice move by Corey Hoover. And he moves up the second there, gets a little bit loose, but he holds on to it. Now he's got to chase down our leader, JD Laird.
Yeah, he's just over a second back of JD, and he's going to have to do what he can here, just drive his own race. And they get loose. Joseph gets in the wall there. Nice save, but Corey, just do your rhythm, what you've been doing all day. Go back to what you were doing before. I don't care if you have pressure tires or not. Just take care of that car and make your way toward the front. You've got a fast car. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, his spotter and his crew chief right now telling him in his ear, just be careful, bud. We got plenty of time. You can make half of a tenth off for the next 10-15 laps, and you'll be right there, Corey. And then for the final 5 to 10 laps, just worry about passing him. That's what he's got to remember right now. Just got to get there first.
Problem is they're pretty much equal that time by. JD just a little bit slower than Corey, but they were just in the same 100s bracket there, so that's pretty close. That means they're pretty much dead even, and JD, despite those old tires, that seems like they're working well. We'll have to watch these next couple laps and see if he still is gapping it.
Mark Murphy, a little bit of smoke there, not sure whose it's from. It's not seeing any issues, so we're just going to continue on here. It looks like Mark Murphy getting underneath of McLean. What an impressive job by Michael McLean inside that top 5 right now after seeing heavy damage on that machine earlier. He's just done a beautiful job trying to make a comeback. Issues for Bronson Stafford on the front straightaway, cautions out.
And he will go around on the front straightaway there, and gonna queue up the replay for that one.
Yep, coming off of 3 and 4, we've got that replay up. The back end looks like it's starting to swing around and just never quite catches it into the inside wall, and that'll bring out the caution here with 23 laps to go.
And this is where it gets very interesting for not only the guys that stayed out, but for your leader, JD Laird. We're going to have less than 20 laps to go when we get to green. Have you made your bet at this point that you are not coming back to pit road for the rest of the race? Because I guarantee you, if he comes to pit road, several will follow, but I think we'll see other guys stay out. So I don't know what you do if you're JD. We're just going to have to see. And it looks like they have made that bet to stay out. And see, Chris Wright, he pits from the 7th spot, and he'll bring the rest of the field behind him. But, yeah, you're JD Laird. You've made your bet. You're staying out for the rest of the race. Same goes for everybody else behind him. Probably no more trips to pit road for most of your top 10.
We're going to take this moment here on Checkered Flag Interactive, head off for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got this, what could be the final restart for you here for the PurePwnage 150.
who will it be coming across the line? It will be Corey Hoover.
Coming through the corner. Back here, wrapping up this caution here. We're going to have 18 laps to go when we get the green flag. It's going to be J.D. Laird and Corey Hoover leading him down to the green flag. Joseph Tyson third. And then it's going to be Michael McLean in fourth. A couple guys with some new tires a little bit back, but, you know, the majority of the top 10 on old tires.
Yeah, it's going to get very interesting here. We'll have to see those guys on 4 new tires. They're going to have to make their way up toward the front in a hurry. If we see cautions and cautions on end for the rest of this race, they're definitely not going to have enough time to make it there. So you've pretty much made your bet, and you're just going to have to do the best you can to hold true to that and get the best result you can. We've got 17 cars on the lead lap, so definitely a lot of them still in contention here. J.D. Laird, Corey Hoover, they're going to be on their front row. They're going to see how they fare on these older tires as the pace car gets ready to pull off. JD elects the inside lane here. Going to be under 20 laps to go when we get the green flag. Just waiting on JD and Corey. Rest of the field closely behind, and here he goes. Steps on the accelerator. We're green.
And looks like a majority of the field again dealing with a very, very edgy moment. They're trying to keep those tires from spinning, but everyone gets it down into 1 and 2, and now it's going to be the battle for the lead. Corey Hoover comes up off the corner with the run, and he's trying to chase down the leader of J.D. Laird.
Yeah, definitely, let's go for it if you've got it. Really not saving much, if any, at this point. And Corey really loose off the corner. Nice save. Didn't lose a lot of ground there, but you can pretty much tell with that right there. He's driving it hard.
Oh yeah, he drove it in deep, 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 going through 1 and 2 there, coming up off the corner. It looks like Corey Hoover's going to get that run. Down the back straightaway he goes. Into 3 and 4, once again trying to attack that corner, keep it going, around the apex, Here comes Hoover up off that corner with a lot of momentum down the front straightaway, already making some huge gains on the rest of the field. It's a 2-horse race up in the front of the field here.
Got a really good quarter there through 1 and 2, did Corey, and he's coming there. He's trying to do the best he can as Michael McLean has moved up into 3rd behind there, about a second back your front 2 leaders. But J.D. Laird, oh, he's got to be looking out the front mirror, not the rear. Definitely got to focus on driving the car the fast you can. You can't get distracted, because that's all that Corey wants is for you to get distracted, then he can take the lead.
Chris right on the inside there on Hartenfels. Hartenfels up in the middle wall. And then up at the front, it's still a chase between the top 2.
If you're talking about standings there, Austin's trying to get as many points back as he can because Corey Hoover's already led the most laps tonight. And if he would take home the win, that would be even more points cut into Austin's lead there. So in the standings, so very interesting development there as we watch the rest of this race. But J.D. Laird just kind of joined here last week, so he's got nothing to lose, looking to win his first Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series race and only his 2nd start. So we'll have to see how he can continue to fare here, doing a nice job, pretty much matching the lap times of Corey.
Yeah, he's led 39 laps so far here tonight, and wants to get more. Started in 1st, and at one point fell all the way back to 27th after being spun around by Ramsdell, and just got loose in front of Ramsdell and went around and cautions out.
Oh, huge wreck. Yeah, as you said, Steve, Michael McLean gets absolutely slammed into the outside wall there. Looks like a 3-wide situation gone bad.
Yep, we got that replay already queued up. We'll take a look on the outside of Mark Murphy, and then he's going to get checked up. Joseph Tice, Michael Laria. Laria all the way to down the bottom, flips him, and hard to the outside wall. Very lucky that no one else slammed into him there, and we're under caution again.
Yeah, something tells me Michael did not know it was 3 wide because he cut down into the corner thinking Joseph was going to be toward the apron, but they were 3 wide, so no space there. He goes around, tough break for Michael, but yet again another caution, which means yet again another restart.
Ryan, we talked to you a little bit earlier, and we see you're now finally back on that lead lap. Take us through the journey and now being on that lead lap. How many spots do you think you can pick up now?
Not too sure. I'd like to just finish with the car in one piece. In all honesty, I wish I wasn't back on lead lap. We've had a few too many cautions. I mean, like I said earlier, it's just a product of the track. It's difficult when the setup's like this. The setups naturally lose and the tracks naturally lose. But in all honesty, I would have preferred to see a little bit more green flag racing. It's been a decent race, but I kind of wish I wasn't where I am.
Yeah, it's been a pretty brutal one around tonight, and you know, like you said, it's the Monster Mile. It's got a pretty monstrous mentality anytime you come here as a field. But you're sitting in 12th right now. You got a chance to crack that top 10. There's plenty of time left in the season to make some changes in that machine, get some good momentum, get some good luck. Most importantly, here, seen a lot of performance out of RCA, just a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, I thought our luck was finally turned around. Last Sportsman race at Sonoma, I finished top 10. Monday night in the trucks, I finished second. I thought we were finally turning our luck around, and I guess it's kind of lucky I got back up on the lead lap, so we'll count that as luck.
All right, Ryan. Well, gonna get ready for another one of these restarts here. Thanks for coming up and talking to us. We wish you the best of luck out there.
Thanks. Enjoy the finish.
And as always, some great sponsors over here for the Upper Edge Racing CMC Sportsman Series. Of course, Crescent Moon Contracting, the title sponsor. Control Freak, been around with these guys since about 2007. London Recreational Racing for a couple of seasons. Of course, also 24 Designs, Thompson Photography, and more. And really, this whole thing coming together like it is, it's a beautiful thing. This league has come a long ways.
Definitely has, and like you said, we had a lot of drivers in this race tonight. 28 signed up here, and the league continues to grow. Each and every race is bigger and better, it seems like. And just what Ryan said there, they have a truck series as well that runs on Monday nights, and they also have a super late model series. So Upper Edge Racing League got a lot going on here, a couple different cars and series you can race in. Don't think it's too late to join, just like we saw J.D. Laird and Chad Coleman come over here mid-season, so definitely you could too if you want to. So definitely something interesting to do, and you know, maybe get on the broadcast now and again.
Oh yeah, plenty of coverage to go around as we're going to be cracking inside. 10 laps to go here at Dover, and oh boy, Shane, I really think we are going to see a really interesting finish. That is for sure here. All of the belts are going to come off.
Yeah, definitely, and there was very close between J.D. Laird, Corey Hoover, pretty much evenly paced, and now we're going to see who can restart better. I know J.D.'s going to elect the inside lane here. He's going to be the control car, which means he gets to start the field and restart the race, but Corey Hoover on that outside, well, he's got a chance to possibly retake the lead if he can get a good run through turns 1 and 2, but it's all going to come down to that restart. He gets a bad jump or doesn't go, then J.D.'s pretty much got this locked up, but all those guys behind him, they're hungry too, so one mistake by either of these two and it's anybody's race.
Oh yeah, gotta be careful too. Make your moves when you can, because that caution could come out pretty quickly here. You just never know how it's going to work out. If caution comes out within 2 or 3 laps, we might get one more restart, but if it comes out with less than 4 to go, that will be that, and whoever's leading will be the winner, assuming no major catastrophes happen. Now, that Ford First Mustang, hopefully for the final night, will be pulling down here for the PurePwnage 150 at Dover, as there goes the pace car. We wait for the leader to go. Green flag in the hand of the flagman, and he is getting ready to wave it, starting to wave it. Green flag in the air. Corey Hoover does not get the best of restarts, but he's going to have to maintain it there on the outside of Mark Murphy.
Yeah, Mark Murphy's got the first line, so he's going to challenge easy, and there he goes. Corey up the hill, Mark to second, and here he comes for J.D. Laird through turns 1 and 2. Got a little bit of a run. J.D.'s just going to try and hang on there as Chris Wright looks to the inside of Corey Hoover.
Mark Murphy gets to second, and we've seen a lot of promising stuff out of Mark Murphy over the past few races and throughout the last tail end of the last season as well. That number 48 is coming. I do believe fresher tires than J.D. Laird. Corey Hoover has a little bit more speed, I do believe, than Mark Murphy. But as the field comes up and off that corner, man, we are racing for it. Chris Wright wants to get around that number 33 as well.
These are going to be some of the longest 6 laps of J.D. Laird's iRacing career. He's just going to have to hang on. He's got a very fast Mark Murphy behind him. Corey Hoover's closing in as well, but he's going to have some cushion here, which means Corey's going to have to get beside Mark and kind of throw those guys back a little bit, and if he doesn't, Mark Murphy might get a run off the corner and get underneath JD, and on those older tires, it's going to be very hard for him to hold his ground. So doing a nice job so far. Pretty much these top 4 are in it for the win.
Yeah, 5 laps to go. Pretty much if a caution comes out from this point on. That's that here, as Mark Murphy wants to get this win. So does Corey Hoover, but I mean, the dark horse, Chris Wright's right there as well. I mean, there's so many players in this game. One slight mistake by any of these drivers, and it could change how it is for the finish of all of them up here. We'll see as they come up off that corner. 4 laps to go. It looks like Mark Murphy is not going to have competition from Corey Hoover as Chris Wright's underneath of him. Yeah, pretty much count Corey Hoover out of this one now, up on that high side here, as it's a 2-horse race now for the win.
Very important to know, Chris Wright, 4 new fresh tires on that car 2 cautions ago. He has the freshest tires in the field. Does he have enough time with 3 to go? I don't think he does, but still a great call. He's going to get a nice gain out of positions with that one, and J.D. Laird still hanging on to the lead, though, at Mark Murphy. Mark's just kind of hanging around back there. Not a lot of time, and he's just going to have to make something happen here. Not going to do it how he is now.
Yeah, he's got to have some big dive, and that number 23's got to get extremely loose on exit of one of these corners here if he wants to make anything happen. That time by made a little bit of a charge. Oh, made quite a bit of a charge there. Gets it down to about 3 car lengths coming into 1 and 2. I mean, this gap is getting really close. It's going to be these 2 cars. It's Ford versus Chevy up at the front of the field. J.D. Laird having a huge comeback. Mark Murphy being quiet throughout the night. Coming into 3 and 4 for the second to last time here. Coming to get the white flag. It's going to be J.D. Laird leading Mark Murphy. Mark bringing it all the way to the outside wall. Not going to be able to do much with it here. That gap stayed the same as final lap here.
Yeah, here comes J.D. through turns 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. Chris Wright closing. Not going to be enough. Mark Murphy closely behind, but it's not going to be it. J.D. Laird about to take the checker.
And Chris Wright getting ever so close to taking away that spot from Mark Murphy, but that's how it's going to stand. What a race it was, Shane. J.D. Laird comes across in first. Chad Coleman wrecking across the line there, as they're still wrecking back there.
Yeah, big wreck back there, and but that's going to be the end of the race there. J.D. Laird, old tires pays off for him. He took the track position instead of tires, and it worked. He's going to bring home first. Mark Murphy second. Chris Wright took tires. He finishes third. Corey Hoover fourth, and Michael Laria round out your top 5.
Shane just taking a look at the final results. Of course, JD brings home the win. Some notables up here through this top 10. Austin Hartenfeld's our points leader. Probably it'll be a close one for that points lead, all things said and done now. And then it's going to be Trevor Roppolo inside that top 10 as well. Justin Munsell, very quiet day. Joe Lawrence as well, making an appearance there. Corey Hoover, for the first time in a while, finishing outside that top 3. So Shane, looking a little bit further through the field. Ryan Dyson finishes up in 14th. Chad Coleman, after a very long night, finishes in 13th. Finlayson 17th. Very tough night for him. Bradley Burke, after a while, was so fast. Bronson Stafford 20th. Just unfortunately for a lot of drivers here, tough finish.
Yeah, definitely. Miles the Monster claimed quite a few cars tonight, and that pretty much speaks dividends to this racetrack. Knew it was going to be an all-out brawl from the beginning. 28 cars started, 16 on the lead lap officially at the end there, so you did your dues if you finished in the top 10, and those guys who were already on the hauler, well, the Monster got them.
And I've caught up with Chris Wright, driver of the number 20, finishing third here tonight. You came back, you got yourself that top 5 there. Beautiful call, taking tires at the tail end of the race. Take us through that final couple of laps.
It all started back when I stayed out. I only had a couple laps on my tires and spun the tires and almost caused a big wreck, so that put me in a spot back there where I could take more chances towards the end.
Well, getting to that third spot is a big deal. How's the rest of the season looking like with such a tough schedule?
Hopefully it finishes better than it starts. You know, I came in here, I'm new this year, and the start has been really bad, but we're starting to come around the last few weeks here and see if we can't run some clean races and finish up there.
All right. right, Chris, thanks for coming up here and talking to us.
All right, thanks for having me, and thanks to the team for bringing me on this year, and Bronson and all the guys helped me out a ton.
Shane, I do believe you caught up with Mark Murphy.
Yeah, down here in pit road, Mark Murphy, and Mark able to bring it home second here tonight. Kind of take us through your race.
It was very hectic, especially my internet wasn't acting the way it should have been, but starting from the rear, having to see what the other guys had compared to what I had, didn't really qualify where I wanted to. So I'm actually really satisfied with finishing second. Thought I could have got JD. I was getting him into 1, I could get him into 3, but he was driving off of 4 and 2 like crazy.
Yeah, definitely came from 17th to 2nd. I'm pretty sure you had plenty of wrecks to get through since pretty much had a ton of them here tonight. Kind of take us through how you had to approach each and every one of them. Seems like you were always on the edge. Can I make it through the wreck or not? And tonight you end up making it through all of them.